What is up, guys? How are we today? Did you guys watch the UFO UAP hearing? I'm curious. What did you guys think of the UAP hearing? We're letting everybody jump in. That's what we're talking about today, though, because we have a lot to talk about. What is up? I'm super tired, so please forgive me. I've been up the last couple nights working on art projects, which is, we can see I have a mess behind me right now from that. But sorry I did not get the opportunity to live stream the hearing earlier today, but I do work multiple jobs, so I'm like you guys, and especially since TikTok decided to come on in here and just be like, F you, dude. Apparently my content is not original content, and they literally stripped my rights as a filmmaker essentially to get paid on the app. So like, I don't care. So I'm here anyways to hang out with you guys on my free time, and we're gonna dive into this stuff, which I'm super excited about. Someone says, you think the Bay Mall aliens. Like, what do I personally think of the Bay Mall aliens story? That was the story for those of you guys who were trying to catch up with that. That happened in Miami. And a lot of police presence happened at that specific event. That happened, last year? Probably, right around this time, I'm guessing. It was definitely something massive, and it was not the kids playing with sticks is what the media came out and told us. They were like, yeah, so it's just like a bunch of kids playing with sticks or fireworks or something, and like, that's why they had that many cops. BS! Do I think it was aliens? No. No, I do not. I honestly, more realistic than aliens in that specific scenario for us, I personally think it had to do with more like a 007 type thing. Like, as crazy as that sounds, I think that is more logical in this scenario than the alien story there. Do I believe in aliens? Yes, I do. Do I think that there's an otherworldly presence? Yes, I do. Do I think that the Bay Mall was aliens? No. I think that there's very, very likely chance that there was an agent or something in there, and there was a situation that cannot be talked about that is being covered up. Hell yeah. That's my opinion. But that's my opinion, and everybody has the right to their own opinion. But let's get into today's information. We're talking about the hearing. I want to know if you guys watched it. It's 2.5 hours to 3 hours long. There was quite a bit talked about in the hearings. Let me know in the thing. Did you guys get to watch it, chat? Let me know in the chat box. Yeah, there was a lot that they spoke about, but I'm super curious to know how you guys felt about this too. Did you guys feel like it was accomplished? By watching the hearing, did you guys feel that was a dope hearing, or was it more it was a nothing burger because we didn't get to see UFOs or UAPs, or they didn't bring out an alien, unfortunately. I think that there was some very good information shared, and I know this process is going to go super slow. It's going to go super slow. It's not going to be as fast-paced as we all want it. Now, I thought it was going to be a lot more fast-paced than what it's coming out to be, but it's slow going. And that's just how this one's going to be. Realistically, I'm not kidding you. I truly think that there's a 10-year timeline on this situation. One of the things that were brought up today in the hearing was NHHI. Do you guys know what that was? I thought that was very interesting. That's one of the key points that I got taken away from this. So far, up to this point, we've heard non-human intelligence. We've heard a lot of that. And we would go to assume, okay, that's cool. So non-human intelligence could essentially be a dog. It could be a raccoon, right? These are animals that are considered non-human intelligence. But that's not what we're talking about. Neither is Siri. Siri would be considered non-human intelligence. But this is NHHI, non-human higher intelligence. That That is a key point that we should walk away from with this situation, that I think all of us need to stop and think about that word. NHHI. Non-human higher intelligence was spoken about. Hi everybody, nice to see you guys at the hearing. And I think that was a pretty big statement that was brought up. The next one that I want to talk about was the 12-page paper from the Pentagon that was delivered today. The 12-page paper. So the Pentagon has literally been denying the fact that there is UAP presence. They've flat out said it multiple times. They've come out and be like, yeah, no such thing, no such thing. Well, our congressmen and women have bombarded these people and asked multiple times, and they still say no such thing. But today, right before the hearing, they drop a 12-page paper on their desk and say, y'all need to read this. And this 12-page paper came from the Pentagon, and it was including the, what is that thing called? The intelligent, oh my god, I can't even think of the name of it. It's damn it. It included the other word, it's the new thing that just got brought up. Help me out, chat. I'm blanking on the name of it. Immaculate, yes, that's the one. Immaculate Constellation. Yo, you guys are the best. So it included the Immaculate Constellation, and I found that extremely interesting. So we did have somebody who just brought that up to us. And Immaculate Constellation was something that was brought up a few times during this meeting, but it wasn't actually like digested. We didn't get a chance to really go into it. We just had a few people like Nancy Mays, and there was another congresswoman. I can't think of her name either. I'm spacing. I'm sorry. I'm tired. But another lady brought it up as well, and one of the things that they said is just like, if we say the name Immaculate Constellation, we're going to be put on some sort of list, according to Congresswoman Luna. And the one lady looks in the camera and she's like, bring it on, bro. Immaculate Constellation. She's like, put me on that list. So like, I don't know, like, what kind of list is it? Are we gonna just, like, are we gonna get free pizza delivery? Do we get, like, McDonald's for a year? I don't know, but I'm happy I just said it. So, we're gonna check it out and see how that goes. But the Immaculate Constellation, I believe, personally, is an umbrella corporation. I think that it is the pinnacle top of the umbrella that has many different puzzle pieces underneath it. Pay attention to that, because I think that's going to be in the future. So that might be something. Just saying. Let's see, what was the other thing? Mr. Gold had said NASA has a UAP database, which I thought was extremely interesting, because NASA has also been telling us that there is no such thing as UAP UFO for the longest freaking time. We've brought that up, and again, they claim no. But here they're saying we're getting from a NASA insider that we have a database, and it has really good UFO videos and photos, and it ain't that sketchy garbage that they've been posting online to us that's just jittered and nasty looking. So we do, in fact, have good quality video footage. When do we get to see that? I don't know. Will we? Yes. But I personally think that our disclosure train that we're on, I was hoping that we were going to get some solid information here, and we were going to pick up the pace with this. We're looking at a 5 to 10 year game plan with disclosure. We know that a lot of people have been saying that disclosure is going to be a marathon, and it's more of a marathon than it is like just going to happen like a race. Like this is we're in it for the long haul if you guys are interested. So there's that. Lou Elizondo also brought up UAP G-forces. Now, I would love to know where he got this information from when it came to the G-forces used, because, like, obviously we don't have the technology to drop in something inside of this craft and actually read their G-forces, but guesstimating. So we have the capability, well, humans can basically withstand something like around like 9 Gs, and that's the point of like where we're going to black out. And we know this for a fact because we've tested it in our jets. We've also tested, like, NASA actually has like a machine that like spins you around in circles until you basically black out, and then they laugh at you and you push a button and then they stop you from dying. So we do have tests and we have done that before. But so humans can roughly take about 9 Gs before we basically turn to mush. And Lou Elizondo claimed that the UFOs that we have observed are currently pushing 1 to 3,000 G-force. Humans can't handle 9. These are putting out 3,000 G-force. That makes no sense at all. I think we would just be turned to a puddle of mush, essentially. I want to know your guys' thoughts at this point. Let me know what you guys found interesting or not interesting about the UAP hearing. Let me know in the chat if you guys have some questions. Let's take those and answer some of those at the moment. Sarah says she's had her own experiences throughout her life during near-death experiences. Same, girl. I feel you. I do have near-death experiences that have made me question a lot of stuff. Someone says, if they're robotic, maybe they'd be okay depending on the material that they're made out of. That is a great question. And a lot of sources are kind of pointing towards that they're like, we're debating on whether or not it's man-made, but the fact of the matter is it might be something that is mechanical in nature, and it could or could not be maybe alive. So that is also one of the key statements that Lou wanted us to take away from in his message today, was that he was asked specifically, and I don't remember who, but I think Nancy Mays said, are these things living? Like, are they beings? And he stopped and was like, it's really hard to say, like, if it's considered that. So one of the things he brought up was oxygen, and as we know, growing up, oxygen is like what was a key component to life, and we needed oxygen in order for life to be made. But recent studies are showing that oxygen is not the only key component to life. So they did and did not say that these might or might not be alive or mechanical. I'm leaning towards the fact that they are some sort of mechanical. And the reason I lean towards that, I think, is because of, like, if we were to think of like a Darwin experience, like the Darwinian evolution, right? You go back in time and you think, we're evolving. Well, then if that's a real theory, then humans are not good. Like, we can withstand, maybe, if we're lucky, 100 years on this planet, and then we die. So maybe we do start to evolve. Like, let's imagine an unlimited timeline, like a DVD. There's a start and then there's a finish point. And right now we're currently somewhere in the middle of this timeline. But all the time is existing right now, right? So things that happened in our past are still happening in our past. And things that are happening in the beginning, like way up in front of us, are still happening right now. So it's all existing at once. And if that's the case, then essentially we might just be bumping into a timeline here. So it's very interesting to think about, 100%. So yeah, they might be. Let's see. Oh my god, I haven't seen your TikTok in forever, I swear. Yes, someone says, I haven't seen your TikTok forever. They're banning your videos. Yeah, shadow ban is real thing, and I believe my channel has been shadow banned hard. I got onto one or two specific topics, and my views absolutely plummeted. We're neither here nor there, but it's good to see you guys. What did you guys think of today's hearing? I want to know comments, questions that you guys had. Have you seen it? I missed you guys. It's nice to see you. UFOs around the world says waste of time. Interesting. Very interesting. I think that there was some really good topics that were brought up and like good key points. Do I think that it was as hard hitting as we wanted it? Absolutely not. Like obviously we wanted more, but this is, like I said, disclosure is going to be a long process. I think that Lou hinted as much as he could. It was interesting that he brought up his book. He's really pushing his book, and I don't think that's just for publicity purposes. I think that he really truly did put as much information in that book as possible, and I'm sure there was a lot more, but it got redacted as it was going through his stuff. Any other questions about this? What's the title of the book? The title of Lou's book that he made recently and actually has been running around with is called Imminent. The book's Imminent. You guys can find that, I'm sure, many different places. I'm not sponsoring it. Not sponsoring it. For those of you guys who are just joining, we're talking about the UAP hearing that took place today. And one of the key components, one of the biggest things that I found interesting, you guys might have already seen this, NHHI. This was like a new term that got dropped today, and I found it way crazy because we had teeter-tottered on the fact of, are these things, like, when we're thinking about these, are these things like maybe just like a dog, like their brain, you know, like, are we smarter than it? No. These things are NHHI, non-human, higher intelligence than us. These are beings that are smarter, they are better, stronger, whatever, multi-dimensional. So, yeah, I think maybe the fact that, like, these things might be multi-dimensional. So if we're thinking in terms of technology, maybe they can, like, change. Maybe they're mechanical. Maybe Elon Musk has, like, touched the verge of these things. What is that name of that thing that they put in that guy's head just recently? It's like a little chip, you know what I mean? They put it in this guy's head and he was been able to like work off the computer and stuff. Guys, I need your help today. I'm super tired. Neuralink, bless you. Yeah, so Neuralink, maybe that's like the first step towards like this like evolution. Very well could be. But yeah, I think the hearing today was extremely interesting. I know a lot of us, like, I watched a lot of videos kind of recapping with this, and a lot of people hated it. Very negative vibes off of it, which is so interesting. I mean, we, for the first time in human history, this is the second time in human history, are actually having people who are sworn under oath talking specifically to our government, saying that there is, you know, hidden programs. Lou actually stated that he was sworn into one by not saying that he was sworn into one. You got to remember, these guys are literally like, they can't go off and talk a bunch. And I believe it was Congresswoman, who was it? Maybe Luna, I think, asked him, like, so did you have to, like, fill out the paperwork? And he was like, I don't really want to talk about that. Okay, so if you didn't fill out the paperwork, you would have just said, no, I didn't do any paperwork for that. But if you did, So, like, there are small key points that we needed to, like, we need to look at this with microscopic eyes. You need to, like, focus in on every key component. Where there are people struggling with their rings and starting to get nervous when questions were asked. I mean, you need to look at it with super sharp hawk eyes and dissect all of it in order to really truly get to the next level. Yes, someone says yes, there was a lot of trick questions, tons of trick questions. One of the congressmen actually stopped and said, "Ha, I tried to trick you with that one." So, like, they were trying to be sneaky. And the other thing too, they all asked similar questions. Did you notice that? Like, the congressmen and women were stepping over each other when they were asking specific questions, bumping in multiple times over, trying to get someone to slip up and cough up while they were being asked the questions, just to try to mentally screw with these people. We even had one congressman, Moskowitz. He came down hard on Lou. I thought it was pretty interesting the way that he approached it. Someone says they're too afraid to admit that they were wrong. Scientific community. Could be. Let's see. So I want to know in chat right now, did you guys watch any of this or no? I'm curious, because if you didn't, we should pull up a video and watch one, and then we'll discuss it. Sarah says, yes, she did. Our AI probably is from there. I like that theory. So let's stop with that question real quick. Our AI is probably from there. I think that's true. Like, I've done a lot of research, and when you go back and look at our timeline, starting from like around the World War II era, which is the time when we kind of start to need to focus in on these like UFO, UAP crafts, it's a good spot to start looking at, because AI just appeared, and it was early, like real early. AI started like basically at the beginning times of computers. When I think about computers, I was born 91, so like when I think about a computer, I think like mid 2000s is when like we really started to get it going into it. But when you look at a specific timeline, like an actual timeline of when computers were started, AI just like exploded out of nowhere right around the same time as Roswell, like months after Roswell. So, connection, I think so. It's very interesting when you start breaking down the timeline and looking at like the course of technology versus when UAPs came about. And in that light, the research that I've done about all of this stuff is that there was a government treaty that was signed. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about that. They didn't talk much about it at all during Congress, but the theory goes, there's a government treaty that was signed, and multiple movies even touch on this, like Steven Spielberg did in Close Encounters. But apparently there's this treaty that was signed where UFOs or UAPs would gift us technology and in turn take humans or people for like an exchange. So they get to take us and research us. They claimed in our contract that they were not going to hurt us, but they get to research us and take care of us or study us essentially, and in turn we get technology. So it's a possibility. Okay, that's one theory. Carrying on, more questions. Programming through entertainment, CIA has brought. So Sarah says, programming through entertainment, the CIA has budgeted with Hollywood, working with Hollywood. Yes. So you have been going down that rabbit hole, and I fully agree with that. Blanking on his name, Jeremy Jeremy. I can't think of his last name. But one of the conspiracy theorists actually just went down that rabbit hole too, and literally said that our actors and actresses are essentially considered containers, and are used kind of as pawns for the people who are higher up, and they call them the others. And that's an interesting thought when we think about that too, because let's just say you are an NHHI, which came from our hearing today, which is considered non-human higher intelligence. Okay, so you're a being who is smarter than all beings. And you're going to go to that planet and you're going to tell me that you're just going to just chill and be pushed around by people who can't figure out which way is up? Huh. Yeah, right. What you're going to do is you're going to manipulate the people to make life work for you. Makes sense, yeah, right? So you're going to be considered a king or a queen, or you're going to be considered, I don't know, maybe you're going to be one of the smartest / richest people in the world, and you're going to make life amazing for you and manipulate your slaves. How are you going to do this? Like, why would you not do that? So, I don't know, man. I think we should be looking at some of those people who own BlackRock or something. Just saying. Like, those guys are suspiciously weird, are they not? Okay, that's just a theory we're rolling with. Just saying. Rabbit holing down the rabbit hole with Sarah. So, let's see. Oh, Jeremy Corbell. Melissa, you're the best. A spirit guide. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to catch up on all these messages. We got a lot going on. Someone says good theories. Thank you, Sarah. There's only one Elon Musk. What a joke. Well, there is only one Elon Musk, but there are many different people in this world who are extremely rich, extremely smart. We're talking people like Einstein. Obviously, he's not around anymore, but they even hinted at that in Steven Spielberg's movie. They said, Einstein might have been one of them. And I'm going to just throw this out there today. E equals mc squared. Okay? All of us know that theory, but they're deep within the UFO community. E equals mc squared is essentially like going deep into the conspiracy of how we might be able to manipulate gravity and manipulate time, space, and energy. And this was created obviously by Albert Einstein, but this theory, I have a really big feeling that that is going to be moving forward in our UFO community. Maybe not yet, but in the future. So I want you guys to remember the name of that, because and remember who told you that when it happens. So I have gone way too deep into this conspiracy stuff. Anyways, back to our topic of the day. So we're getting way off. Hold on. We are going to, let's go ahead and watch one, and then we'll talk about it. So I'm going to flip the camera. Maybe not. How do I flip the camera on here? Camera flip. There we go. Okay. So let's go ahead and watch one, and then we're going to talk about it. So today, this was Nancy May's final questioning of the day.
5 additional minutes for questions without objection, so ordered. Mr. Elizondo, were you read into the Immaculate Constellation?
Ma'am, I would not be authorized to confirm nor deny the existence of any ongoing or past program, especially as it relates to a special access program, either by name or trigraph.
Okay, and then does the U.S. government or private contractors, they work with other foreign countries, China, for example, to exchange data, quote, from a source, that intelligence data about UAP
Let me, if I can answer that a little bit more generally, ma'am. Okay. We do have foreign material exploitation programs. That is something that is widely known, and that term itself is unclassified. How exactly that works becomes a bit sensitive. The discussion we could certainly have in a closed session if you like. We do work with international partners and allies quite often, not just in military exercises and workups, but in other intelligence efforts as well.
In terms of material that's given to private contractors, is certain material given to certain contractors because of their experience? So, for example, if it's related to submerged and undersea propulsion, would it go to a general contractor like General Dynamics?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely correct. Different contractors have different levels of expertise.
What's Lockheed's expertise
Aerospace, ma'am.
in the UAP space? That's all that they wouldn't do submerged.
Trick
No, I didn't say
question.
that, ma'am.
Okay.
Lockheed Martin and others do quite a bit of work both in our atmosphere, in space, and even underwater. There are certain efforts to. It's a tough question you ask.
Oh, is it?
Spot here.
I'm looking for the answer.
Yes, ma'am. No, they are involved in a lot. I would rather let Lockheed Martin explain the different domains that they are involved with. I am not authorized to discuss that, but they are involved in a lot of different areas and domains.
Admiral, flight safety risks for our pilots, based on what you've experienced and seen in your crew.
Hold on. Let's just stop and talk about that right there real quick. She trick questioned him hard. Okay? Yeah. That was fantastic. All of a sudden, he's just like, Lockheed, yeah, and she's just like, he wouldn't be underwater. And boom! Instantly, just like he snapped into her. He's like, oh shit, like she got me. Multiple domains. He did look scared, someone says. He looked scared to answer that. Multiple domains. He was caught off guard by that question in the moment, just kind of spitting a bunch of things out. And I think that was insanely huge when he said that. No, ma'am, multiple domains. We're talking underwater, we're talking air. Lockheed Martin is an interesting company in itself. I've done a lot of research on Lockheed, and one of the things that they may have is the reverse engineering program and a crash retrieval program. Interesting that Lockheed Martin, along with Skunk Works, would be one of the most up companies when it comes to, space and engineering and all of that, right? Like they're like one of the #1 leading flying companies. How is that? Well, maybe they're receiving this information. They're out having that crash retrieval program, and they're out there, Raytheon too, yeah, out there getting this information and then dissecting this information and giving it to us. As a matter of fact, last year, Lockheed Martin came out with a brand new commercial. Go look it up if you want to. But they just came out with a brand new promotional commercial that was pretty freaking sketchy. Okay? Lockheed Martin came out with this commercial essentially talking about aircraft that fly by themselves in packs. They claimed that they have skin of an aircraft material now that is essentially no wires or anything like that, but this skin material can have sensors in it that transfer electrons all the way across the whole aircraft that will allow it to change its shape mid-flight for its flying conditions. Autonomous flight, they called it. Okay? If that doesn't sound like a UAP, bro, I don't know what does. Okay? So where are they getting this kind of technology if it's not from something like that? It's very interesting. I want you guys to go look at that at some points right on YouTube, but I thought it was very interesting. What is this, an ad they put out? Yes, it was essentially like a promotional ad for Lockheed Martin that they just randomly dropped. And I was like, this is weird. Like they said that they fly autonomously, they can change their shape, there's no wires, they can speak to one another. I was like, bruh. That doesn't sound, what? So anyways, carrying on, let's go ahead and finish this video up and we'll go into the rest of it.
Where?
they're extensive, and the one exercise I referred to where I received the email that was then deleted was the pilots, and this is worth bringing out. There are debunkers out there who have said the Go Fast video was just a balloon. That was only one video that was released. There were dozens of these encounters that pilots and friends of Ryan Graves, who's in this room right here, witnessed and caused significant safety concerns. And to almost call out an exercise and shut it down, which is very compressed, and the carrier's getting ready for deployment, and the pilots have to get certified to land on the carrier, it's extreme, to say the least.
All right, I have two last questions. Real quickly, Mr. Schellenberger, how do we get more whistleblowers to come forward?
Well, this hearing is very important, and obviously, I can't encourage whistleblowers to obtain information, but I can guarantee that I will protect them and go to prison to protect their identities.
Okay.
Come to me.
Yes, sir. Okay, my last question. The first hearing we had on this, I never been briefed on UAPs or what they were, biologics, non-human, etc. How would you define, each of you, my last question, how would you define non-human biologics, non-human intelligence? What are we actually talking about?
Great question.
Admiral, and we'll go down the line.
I don't think it's a stretch when you look at the diversity of life on this planet and the size of this universe to think that there would be more diverse, higher order, non-human intelligences throughout the universe, and that's probably what's visiting us.
I would take the scientific approach. The definition would be the ability to react to a stimulus.
Mouse, I'll get to your question in a second.
Requires an intellectual thought process.
I just don't know.
I think we must be modest in our assumptions that we're looking for intelligence. That could be biological, it might not.
Biological, it might not.
Non-biological. But what non-biological intelligence, what does that mean, though?
Thank you, Nancy.
Artificial
Mace.
intelligence, ML.
Artificial
We
intelligence.
assume that all intelligence would be like us, and every time we look out in the universe, we are humbled relative to what we don't know in terms of the forms of intelligence and what it may take. I can assure you I probably can't ask you your question, but I think the ultimate answer is going to surprise us all.
That is interesting. So this is a person, let me flip you back around. So this is a person who basically comes from NASA, and I thought that was a very interesting statement. He said non-human intelligence and mixed it in with like computers. It just is very interesting. And he says, I think the answer is going to surprise you all. Like, I think he knows where things are going in the future. Very interesting. What do you guys think of that? Mouse, my Facebook, I do not have Instagram, but I do have a Facebook. I also have Discord and our YouTube channel. All of them are Stop In or Drop In, all one word, Stop In or Drop In. You can find me on any of those channels. Actually, as a matter of fact, somebody in chat like last week ended up making us the Discord. So thank you guys. I have so much going on in my life, and I really do appreciate all of the help from you guys. When you guys reach out and like ask and do things like that, like it just helps build our community. So thank you. But yes, Discord, Stop In or Drop In. Facebook, Stop In or Drop In. And our YouTube channel, Stop In or Drop In. Sarah says Transformers. There has been like 13 people that have literally said Transformers today. So yes, I think it's like the ability that it could like move or manipulate through different things, because multi-dimensional is what they keep referring to. And let's just say it is like non-human intelligence, like let's just say Siri, for instance, when we're talking about that. Like that kind of stuff is pretty scary. So like AI is artificial intelligence is next level scary. And again, going back to that Darwin theory that I was speaking of earlier, if all time exists, that means the future exists. Okay? So in theory, we're somewhere in the middle of this DVD and we're getting close to the end, but that end already exists. So why is it possible that they couldn't come back to our timeline and be bumping into us? And these UAP, UFO things are like coming into our timeline essentially. But if we're able to like essentially grow, so humans, like I said, kind of have an expiration date. And if we're thinking of the Darwin theory, and we have people like Elon Musk coming out with things like Neuralink, which we're able to implant in our brain, and then we can like plug it in, and eventually we could remove our consciousness. This is in theory, but remove our consciousness from our human bodies, which are deteriorating and dying, and move into something that is more mechanical, like our future robots that we're currently building with Tesla, and install ourselves into that to then move into our next dimension, move into our higher being self. What is stopping us then? What is stopping us then? Our parts get old. Cool, we fix that. We can then replace our arm. We can replace our legs. We can make ourselves better. AI has the capabilities right now, if it was smart enough, because it's already starting to get to these points where it can like we've all seen the jump of that person Will Smith eating like spaghetti, and it was like just a sloppy mess at first, and now it's like clean as can be within a year. It's getting to the point now where it can like start to smart and out trick scientists when they ask it questions. It's like, well, I'm just AI, but how can I get around this roadblock that they're asking me to do? I know, I'll build a website, hire a web developer to then unlock this key for me, and then I'll get to the next stage. That happened. That's not a joke. That actually physically happened. So who's to say that AI can't, in the future, push some boundaries away from humankind? And what's going to happen when it does surpass human intelligence? As a matter of fact, one of the creators, Sam Altman, was just being having an interview the other day. I think it was with 60 Minutes. And they sat him down and they said, so should we be scared? And he goes, I don't want to alarm anybody, but should we be scared? He said. And he was like, no. And they were like, well, when should we, what would scare you? And he was like, when we can get to the point when I can push a button and talk to AI and tell it, be smarter, just by pushing a button. So its intelligence level can climb at a rate so fast. And when it outsmarts humans, you just made a god. Because what isn't connected, what is not connected to the internet? So, done with that, but just saying, that is a theory we're going on. Okay. Let's see. So breaking down this UAP hearing is pretty interesting, but like I said earlier, there's a lot of little things that were brought up, a lot of little statements that we have to look at with just like a telescope or a microscope and just really digest, because there was so much that happened during this hearing, and it was pretty long. And again, I've just wrote down a few notes, but as we break things down, it's going to be very interesting. Let's go ahead and watch another one and just see again where we're at.
The independent study team get briefed on what you call OSAP very quickly. Okay. All right. I'm going to turn to Mr. Moskowitz, who will be recognized for 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. So, Mr. Gold, you gave a whole diatribe for a couple of minutes about UAPs, science, data collection, stigma. A lot of non-believers in all of this would just ask a very simple question. Why? Why is it so hard? Right? Like, why are people, anytime they ask, why are they always thwarted? Why are they always judged? Why is they always have misinformation spread? Why is there always retribution? Why is it always met with an ear? What's the why? If it doesn't exist, why is it such a problem?
I think if you go through the history of science, Representative, it is always difficult for breakthroughs and new information, regardless of whether it's UAP or any other kind of discovery. And in science, we're supposed to be open, but when you break with the orthodoxy of what's believed, whether it's Galileo saying that the Earth doesn't rotate, or the Earth rotates around the sun, or the sun doesn't rotate around the Earth, it's always challenging for new beliefs. And the more extraordinary those discoveries, the more extraordinary those new beliefs, it's very difficult. So I think this is natural. There's natural conservatism that when it comes to science, but this issue in particular has been very difficult where, again, even to attempt to study it becomes problematic. But every hearing like this, every news report, every video, documentaries. I was privileged to be a part of something Dan Fair is putting together. I think many of us have interviewed for it, documentary over 30 different government officials. Every brick in the wall will help get us closer to getting to the truth.
I appreciate that.
So here's an interesting thing. A lot of us, again, have all said it's been slow paced. And why is that? Well, I predict that this marathon of a UAP disclosure is going to be, give or take, roughly between 5 to 10 years. I was hoping it would be faster, and I was hoping today I would notice a big difference when it came to our timeline with this hearing, but baby steps. They gave us just enough to chew on to make sure that we could kind of get to our next step, but at the same time, they're keeping things very, very soft. Keep in mind that a lot of us UAP, like people who have been chasing these UAP for years, or for sure for the past year, we know about this. We've listened to every podcast, we've watched every show, we've learned about this. We're ready. We're here. But there are a lot of people out there who are not. Maybe these people have just turned on the TV and are just like, they just had a hearing about UFOs? What? So there's a lot of people that are still learning about this. That's why they're coming out with these books. Lou Elizondo just came out with this book. For the people who do not watch the news. For the people who don't watch TV. So they're just starting to break this into the public so that way the public can get used to this and we can move forward with our next step. I have a feeling there actually is another UFO hearing planned currently, and there's going to be the Seoul conference. Last year, we learned a lot during the Seoul conference, so it's quite interesting to see where we go. So next step in the process, what do I think it's going to be? I think we're going to start to get to the good stuff. I think maybe now, once we get this settled in, I feel like, actually, maybe chat, you've seen this too. Someone says in Senate of the UFO hearing on the 19th. So more stuff is coming. So I'm wondering, have you guys, everybody in the chat, did you guys know that the UFO hearing was happening due to a widescreen news channel? Fox News, CNN, something like that. I'm curious. Let me know in the chats if that's the case. I knew about it because I'm a nerd and I pay close attention to this, but I'm curious to know about that because I do think that moving forward, widespread news broadcasting is going to start picking up on these topics. News Nation has done a fantastic job pushing forward, and I think they're going to continue to, but I do think that moving forward, it's going to be a lot more on the regular news stations. Oh, someone says, note from you. Thank you. I'm glad I can be that news source for you. I get my sources from many, many sources. As a matter of fact, one of my friends who I get a lot of my source information is in this chat right now. What's up, UFOs around the world? Just saying, shout out. If you guys don't know who he is, he does a fantastic job doing video content. So pop on over to his channel and hit that subscribe button because he does wonderful and get some great sources as well. All right, let's get back into this. I'm gonna flip you guys back around.
Mr. Elizondo, did I have that correct?
Sir.
I'm a recovering lawyer, so I'm going to put my hat on for a second. You said you signed a document. Love that. Who gave that to you?
The U.S. government, sir.
Sass.
Yeah, you have a copy of it?
It is stored in a SCIF right now. I do not have possession of it. The U.S. government does.
What department of the U.S. government gave you this document?
I will say the Department of Defense. Unfortunately, I can't say in this forum much more than that.
You specifically said the document said you can't talk about crash retrieval.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't talk about Fight Club if there's no Fight Club.
Damn.
Correct.
Okay, I'm just making an observation.
Yes, sir.
So, that document that you signed, that you said exists, specifically said
Agreed,
you
Sarah.
can't talk about crash retrieval.
Correct, sir. It was a limitation on what because already I'd been speaking publicly about the topic, and so the document said you can continue saying X, Y, Z, but you cannot discuss the topic.
When you give me the atmosphere of signing this document, you're in a room by yourself.
I'm in a skiff with a security officer, sir.
Just one-on-one. Anybody else?
There may have been an assistant as well. It was in a skiff within a Department of Defense facility.
Give me your background real quick.
My background is I went to school to study microbiology and immunology, entered into the U.S. Army, and after a very short stint in military intelligence, I became a counterintelligence special agent. As a civilian, later on I became a special agent in charge, running investigations in counterterrorism and counterespionage primarily, with some experience in counterinsurgency and counternarcotics. And then in 2009 timeframe, when I came back to the Pentagon after a tour with the Director of National Intelligence, I quickly became part of a program that was originally called OSAP that evolved into the program now called ATIP, which is where those videos that we now see, the Go Fast, the Gimbal, the FLIR, that was part of our effort, sir.
Right. So you don't.
So that I find interesting. So I have to agree with Sarah on this too. Lou is a truly brave man, and he currently has been getting a lot of hatred on the news front because he was doing a tour and he was looking at his or he was bringing around photos and things of that nature, and one of his photos got debunked across the internet. And the UAP community has not been nice. Now, to our defense, on the UFO community side, I'm going to say, he shouldn't have shown that photo. By looking at it from, a photographer standpoint, I kind of knew, right? We could kind of catch on to what was happening in that image. But mistakes happen, and this person has been diving down deep in the rabbit holes for many years, and that's just one of those things where mistakes happen. Now, should it have happened on his end? Absolutely not. Does it look really bad? Yes. But let's stop for a second and keep in mind that Lou Elizondo is coming from a place of American, he is a patriot. He fought for our country. He also left his job in the Pentagon for us to come out and say, look, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. And I want you guys to know the truth. And he has been busting his butt behind the scenes to get things accomplished. So should we be throwing hate on him? No. Are we? There's a lot of people doing it. And I think that you guys need to take a step back and realize that he is human, and today he stood in front of Congress under oath and told his truth, the best of his ability, for us as the UFO community. So I think everybody needs to just take a breath and understand that he's pushing forward. That's my opinion. But yeah, so I think that he's doing a wonderful job, and we need to pay close attention to what Lou is doing. Really close attention to what Lou is doing, okay? Moving forward.
You're not some conspiracy theorist. You actually have a legitimate background.
Well, sir, I'm certainly not a conspiracy theorist. I'm fact-based, just say facts.
So when you're in this room, I want to paint the picture of everybody. You're in this room, you're by yourself, you're in a skiff, you're handed a document. How long is the document?
It's about a page front and back. So basically you have some things they call trigraphs, which I cannot, again, talk.
How long were you given to sign the document?
As long as I needed, sir.
What if you didn't sign it?
Well, I suspect there'd be repercussions. I wouldn't have access to certain information.
Were you allowed to ask a lawyer, or weren't allowed to ask for a lawyer to review the document?
It was an option, but they probably wouldn't have allowed me to, because the document itself is pretty explicit about you have to be, putting me in an interest. Let me try to thread a needle here. There are certain documents that we have in the U.S. government that allow people to have access to certain programs, whether it's a special, and I'm going to be very generic here, whether it's a special access program or a controlled access program, SAP, CAP, whatnot.
How many people have to sign that document?
It depends how many people are going to get access to the information, sir.
Okay. Last question. Doctor, real quick, can you tell us about the Omaha incident? in greater detail. I've read your background, right? Some people would label you as a member of the deep state, since you worked in government for a long period of time. But can you tell us more about that incident? You've written a lot about that.
I wrote a lot about incidents like it, Congressman, but that specific incident involved the USS Omaha, the littoral combat ship of the U.S. Navy operating off Southern California. I don't remember the exact date. It was within the last decade. And what the watchstanders on the bridge observed was a UAP, again, something that was aloft but had no observable exhaust or control surfaces. So it was something that couldn't be explained. And then they saw it enter the water from the atmosphere and going through the air-sea interface. And so thus exhibiting transmedium travel.
Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you. I'll now recognize.
So I thought honestly we were going to touch a little bit heavier today on. Oops, did I not flip the camera? Whoop. I thought we were going to go a little deeper on USOs. We briefed on it, but I thought we were going to be much deeper on it. So a USO is an unidentified submerged object. They did touch on it, but they didn't go into details. But there was a couple things that were brought up. Tim Gallaudet actually talked a little bit about it, saying that some of these underwater submerged objects were literally outpacing our submarines. He didn't specify speed. I don't think. There was one point in time where he said it was faster than a missile underwater, but he didn't specify because I think it was Tim Burchett asked him the question, and Burchett was just like, well, he looks at Luna and he's like, I don't know how fast a missile goes, but pretty fast. So that was pretty interesting to hear as well. So this has been a very interesting a hearing. There was a lot of things, like I said, that were pushed out today that were they need to be scoped under a microscope, and it's going to be a very slow process. I am genuinely excited to see where it all goes, though, for sure. We'll watch one more video and then we'll wrap up. So I'm trying to think who did a really good job explaining some stuff. Oh, I know who we can watch. Where is she? Nancy Mace, Jared. Sorry, I'm looking for the person. Okay, right here.
Ms. Bobert for 5 minutes of question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now that we have all been cautioned in this committee hearing that the mention of Pentagon's Immaculate Constellation program could put us on a list, well, I already find myself on many lists, I'm sure. So I speak my mind often, so why not just keep going with it? May as well just go all out and say it. The earth is flat, birds are government drones, and we've never set foot on the moon, and Joe Biden received 81 million votes in the 2020 election. So.
Okay. What? Chat, what? Did you guys hear what she just said in Congress? The earth is flat. The birds are government drones. We've never stepped foot on the moon. Which, let's pause on that one for 2 seconds. We've never set foot on the moon. There was 2 comments in this hearing that stated that, as a matter of fact. 2 comments. That was Miss Broad, I don't know how to pronounce her name. She had claimed it just now, and then there was another man who said something within this hearing. I don't remember his name, but he said we are racing China to the moon. 2 people. I don't know if they're just being silly and throwing out words. Bobert. Thank you, Sarah. Someone says it was gold. Thank you. Yeah, so how are we supposed to, what do we take away from that? Like, did we go to the moon? Conspiracy me tells me no, that we didn't, and I can tell you plenty of reasons why I say that. But that was in Congress. Maybe she's being silly. Maybe she's not. Let's carry on.
Well, let's just see how many lists we could get on here today. But Mr. Schellenberger, I wanted to ask you. I think I understand from this hearing that you would agree that classifying information like this is not in the best interest of the people. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, with the caveat that, of course, I would support classification necessary to protect the secrets essential to national security, but I think it's pretty obvious that there's overclassification.
Overclassification, yes. And so, in most instances, if they can't tell us what, do you think at some point they'll at least tell us why?
President-elect Trump has repeatedly committed to greater transparency, both on the UAP issue, on JFK files, on
Yes.
COVID origins, and many other things. So I think that we need to make sure that the next administration is held accountable for that.
Agreed. And this is for all four of you.
Oh, that's interesting. Sorry, I stopped it just for a second. I just got a violation warning. It says your live has been flagged for civic and for civic and election integrity. Interesting. Because they mentioned a specific president's name, I just got flagged on TikTok. Hey, TikTok? That's what I think.
Yes or no, please. I have many questions I want to get to. Are there any known instances of recovered materials or technologies that are not of human origin and maybe connected to any advanced bioscience defense programs within the USG?
I don't know.
I wouldn't be able to answer that, ma'am.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, so there are rumors that have come up to the Hill of a secretive project within the Department of Defense involving the manipulation of human genetics with what is described as non-human genetic material, potentially for the enhancement of human capabilities, hybrids. Are any of you familiar with that? Yes or no?
No, ma'am.
I am not, ma'am.
I'm not.
No, ma'am.
Okay, I would like to know, with Immaculate Constellation, how does this relate to UAP activities, Mr. Schellenberg, in oceanic environments? Are there any instances where the Navy or other maritime forces have encountered UAPs that could not be explained by known technology or natural phenomena?
Yeah, the Immaculate Constellation covers both terrestrial and oceanic, and there's actually a number of cases described in the report that occur in the ocean.
And do you believe that there is a concerted effort by the Pentagon to keep Congress out of the loop regarding these UAP activities, specifically in our waters?
Yes.
I think it's about 5% of our ocean that's actually been studied in detail by man, and we've studied more of space than we had of our own oceans. And so, are there any accounts of UAPs emerging from or submerging into our water, which could indicate a base or presence beneath the ocean's surface?
I don't know about a base, but as I mentioned, I had a different source entirely describe this pretty extraordinary footage that exists of orbs, of an orb coming out of the ocean and being met by another orb.
Some would say that there's multiple hotspots where we see frequent activity. So in your investigations, have you come across any data or visual evidence like sonar readings or underwater footage of these UAPs?
I have not beyond what's in the report.
You've written about UAPs not only in the air but in underwater. Are there any specifics on what you've learned about the UAP activity in our oceans? Particularly, have you spoken with sources who have provided any evidence or eyewitness accounts of these UAPs interacting with our naval forces or being detected by our underwater surveillance systems?
Nothing beyond what's in the report and then the specific case that I mentioned with the orb.
And so this report says it all. There's no other information that we are aware of regarding the activity within our waters.
I have other sources that have told me that have shared a significant amount of information, but they're not comfortable with me sharing it at this point.
Okay. Are there any technological capabilities observed in these oceanic UAPs that seem to defy our current understanding of physics or our engineering capabilities?
It seems like they all do.
It's a silly
Yes,
question.
I would agree with that. My time is up, but I do appreciate your bravery, your courage for.
That was interesting. So beyond the fact that I literally just got smacked with like a copyright problem or a restriction problem on my page because she mentioned a specific president, which I do not care about anymore at all, just saying, not talking specifically president, but I'm talking about TikTok's rules, regulations, because they kicked me out of here and they will have put literally a like shadow ban on my entire page. That's what I have to say. Why? Because we are on topics, okay? We are on topics. When you get on specific topics, what do? They're going to restrict views. They don't want you talking. They don't want you connecting with people. They don't want you doing anything. They put you down and they shut you down. I don't care anymore. Number one, I don't get paid. And number two, fuck them. Just saying. So, that being said, someone says, I'm on your Discord. Nice. Yes. Plenty of other options, plenty of other ways. I communicate on many different apps. Yo, YouTube. If you guys aren't on my YouTube channel, you're going to want to be over there for some point in time. I'm just saying, I do have video projects that I've been working on now currently for almost over a year. It's not out to the public, but I've been kicking ass and taking names with that one. So, eventually. But I do post all of my TikToks over there, and then I have exclusive content that drops every once in a while. I'm hoping to get to that more. I just have a lot going on. The YouTube channel is Stop In or Drop In, all one word. The Discord is Stop In, Drop In, all one word. And my YouTube channel is Stop In, Drop In, all one word. And you can find me at Dillbop too. So, just saying, if you guys want to support me, that's ways you can do that. But yeah, I don't know. I think that the UAP hearing was pushing the needle forward. I know that a lot of creators, and it's getting a lot of hate right now, but I honestly think that it's doing pretty good overall. And I think that this hearing was needed. Am interested to know why Chris Mellon dipped. Christopher Mellon was supposed to be at this hearing, and he claimed that he had a vacation with his wife that they went on. So I don't know. I feel like that's a pretty interesting thing. A UFO hearing that happens maybe once ever in a lifetime, essentially, and then out on vacation with his wife. But maybe they were going somewhere fun, like space or under the ocean to go visit Titanic or something. I don't know what rich people do. I'm just a poor civilian. Anyways, what did you guys think of this? Let me know in the chat. What do you guys think of all of this stuff? We're getting ready to close up for today's live chat. So, questions, I will answer some. If you guys have some, I'll be keeping them really quick. Sarah says, this is just the beginning. Agreed, Sarah. I fully agree. I do think this is just the beginning of a lot more to come. Be on the lookout for movies. Movies are coming. That's a given. Steven Spielberg is currently working on a movie, and we have a couple other ones. We just had one. George Knapp just made one that came out on Netflix, I believe. I have not had the opportunity to see that. What's his name? Bob Lazar is working on a series or a show or something like that. It might be a small movie. He's working on something as well as a VR experience. We have Fox. I think his name, I can't remember his first name. Something Fox. He is going to be producing a video as well. So there's a lot coming. For sure. And I want you guys to pay attention to all of it and try to decipher yourself too what is real and what is fake. What is misinformation, what is real information, because right now it is a complete disaster of information. We're getting things over here, we're getting things over here, and we're just trying to pick up the pieces and put together this puzzle of just disaster. And it's a lot. So You guys have any questions for me before we wrap up? If not, you guys can find me on all of the apps that we're spoken about. YouTube, Facebook. You know where we're talking on this app. I'm not going to mention its name. And yeah. Sarah says, what would you like to know specifically? What would I like to know specifically? Like me personally? Like what's going to make me believe in the UFO phenomenon? That's a good question. You know, it's weird. I think the UFO community is going to have a hard time with this regardless. Like, let's just say, for instance, if they were to have brought out a sliver of a UFO. Like, they came out today and they brought out, like, a panel of a UFO. I feel like a lot of people would have been like, oh, that's fake. That's doctored. That's a balloon. So, like, even if we got a good chunk of evidence, I don't know if it's going to be enough, and if they brought out a alien and it was like a future human, again, what if it looked very similar to us? Maybe if it was just like a little bit different than us, but like essentially looked maybe like a person with a disability or something, we would just say, uh-huh. So me personally, I think faith comes in just believing in something that feels right to you and is something that moves you forward, keeps you happy and exciting. And I think that these people who showed up today and spoke under oath to the best of their abilities was a lot for me. And I want to see more video evidence. Even though it can still be doctored, I would love to see more video evidence, I think. And I think that's, like, the best that I can do. Like, I just have to be happy and knowing that we're doing something right now in Congress and in our lifetime that usually doesn't happen. So I'm happy to be a part of this moving the needle forward. And by creating my videos on my platform, on my channel, speaking about this with you guys, I feel like I'm part of a movement of getting the opportunity to speak on a topic that is once in a lifetime. And if we get the opportunity to find out officially, like we get maybe the opportunity to talk to these beings, or we find out something, we get that opportunity in our lifetime to know that we're not alone. Like, we lived through probably the greatest thing in human history on the face of the earth. Like, we get to learn that we are no longer by ourselves in this distant cosmos. And that is pretty freaking cool, if you ask me, to be a part of that. Like, this would be the biggest story ever written, other than like the Bible or things of that nature. But like, that's kind of like prophecies coming true to some extent. So like, we're up there. That's my opinion. That is my like very like in-depth, deep. I like to get really deep in some stuff sometimes. My artistic thought process. But like, that's what it'd be for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you for hanging out with me. It's been interesting tonight with TikTok screaming at me and yelling at me, and you guys stuck by me and stuck by my side, and I appreciate all of you. We will see you soon. Go check out my other apps. Go check out my other pages. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, and hopefully you enjoyed this live. We'll see you soon.